Let's talk now about some basic loom maintenance things. Between every project, it is a good idea to clean stuff up. What do I mean by that? First, you want to take off all the dangling warp ends from the apron bar on the warp beam. And I already did that. I am leaving on my tie-up cords because they can just hang out. They're not causing any ruckus for my next project. The one thing I am doing as I work my way across the apron bar, is I'm just tightening up these cords. And again, you might not do this with connecting your warp ends to the rear apron bar. So if you don't have tie-up cords on there, you're not doing anything wrong. This is just how I like to do it because it gives me just a couple more inches of weaving length. Um, these strings that I've got connected to the back beam and the castle are for holding my leaf sticks. So I just kind of want to make sure that they're out of the way. It is never a bad idea to vacuum underneath the back of the treadles, uh, and just in general, because that area can get filled with yarn scraps, etc. Or even better than vacuuming is just get a little hand brush and scoop stuff, because when you ask me how I know this, when you vacuum over long pieces of thread or yarn or whatever, they wind their way around the roller bar of the vacuum cleaner and can cause problems. Like I said, ask me how I know this. Uh, Dust off just with a feather duster or one of those little Swiffer things the bottoms of the shafts. Clean those out, and almost certainly you are going to need to lift the reed out of the beater. So all I did to release the top of this beater bar was to undo these wing nuts. And when I lift the beater top off and I look at the channel that my reed sits in, look at all that thread. So just wipe it away or vacuum it away with the crevice tool on your vacuum cleaner, and then it'll be all neat and tidy for the next project. Oh, and look at that. There's floof on the bottom of my reed. And you really, really want to keep reeds in a good condition because they can cost uh, well over $100 depending on the size reed you're getting. And if you spot any hint of rust, which you shouldn't unless you leave them out in the rain because these are stainless steel, but take good care of your reeds. Don't let the teeth get bent. Don't let the frame get bent, etc. On a loom like this, which honestly probably weighs more than I do, I find it very difficult to move it out of its current resting spot to vacuum under it. But if you've got a wolf loom, and especially if you've got it on a stroller, do that frequently. Move it out of the way, vacuum underneath, and make sure that nothing is getting caught under the treadles. So for instance, one of my cat scratchy toys was sitting under the side of the loom. I don't know how that got there, but you, it's unlikely, especially on a standard floor loom, that anything's going to impede the treadles getting all the way down to their bottom position, but it's not impossible. So you want to check for that. Longer term, maybe once a year, you want to just check that all the screws are tight on your loom. Because remember, there's a lot of motion happening around the loom, and you especially want the frame, the castle, the front legs, the back legs, uh, to stay square. So just tighten everything up. And most importantly, periodically check the status of your brake tension. So from the back of the loom, again, if I've got the brake set at the proper tension, and you shouldn't have to mess around with the brake setting. Schecht builds all its looms in-house, and then unbuilds the parts that need to be unbuilt for shipping. So we set the tension at the factory. I'm able to turn it toward me without too much hassle, but I cannot budge it when I try to turn it away from me. Okay, now look at the difference when I've got the brake pedal pressed down. On a standard floor loom, that means using the brake stop at the front of the loom because the brake pedal goes at an angle. It's down at the bottom and then it rises up at the front of the loom. And on a wolf loom, it's the opposite. It's down at the front of the loom and it's up at the back of the loom, just like a treadle. So you can, on a wolf loom, all you have to do is, to test this, is hold the brake pedal down with your foot. Okay, now what happens? Watch what happens. First, you can see that suddenly my brake cable has all this slack in it. Secondly, you can see that not only can I turn this warp beam toward me really, really easily, but I can turn it away from me. So now I've released the brake pedal so that it is holding the everything under tension. Look at this cable. There's no slack in it. And again, I can turn the warp beam toward me with just a little bit of effort, and I cannot budge it when I try to turn it away from me. Don't overdo the stress on your system with tension that is super, super tight. On the standard floor loom, you can adjust the tightness with this turnbuckle. On the wolf loom, there's an eye bolt at the back of the brake bar, this invisible brake bar that you can't see. So don't overdo it, but check it periodically. And especially if you're noticing that your warp is slipping, that the tension isn't holding, you need to tighten up things, but don't overdo it, because making repairs to the brake system of your loom is just not a lot of fun. So I hope that these maintenance tips give you some ideas for keeping your loom happy and healthy for its entire life. Shacked products are built really, really well. And I know this because I can walk through the shop and see our loom builder building them every day that I'm in the office. They're built really, really well. But like any other thing that people use a lot, it benefits from a little maintenance. So give it some love and it will love you right back.